This is Carolina This Week. Carolina This Week with Tim McGinnis.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us for Carolina This Week. Filing is open, so people who want to run for office, this is the time to file to run for office until March 30th. Horry County Council has a lot of seats that are open this time around. One of them is District 5, and running for the District 5 seat is Reese Boyd. You're joining a lot of other people. It looks like it's going to be a crowded race. District 5, if you're not aware, that is the south part of the county, South Strand, if you will. And why are you running, Reese?
Thank you, Tim. It's good to be with you. I'm running, Tim, because I'm a longtime resident of the county. I was born in Conway. I care very deeply about the county. I care about District 5 in particular, and I'm really interested in working hard to help improve the quality of life for the residents of the District 5 and the county in general. I think it's, at this point, Tim, it's about jobs, and I think it's incumbent upon our county council to work to help foster economic development and improve the quality of life for our citizens. We have a great quality of life in certain respects, but one area where I think we're still lagging is economic development and job growth. County Council has done a great job. Mark Lazarus and the council have done a wonderful work bringing employers to the county. We've had some real success in the gun manufacturing space, particularly on the western side of the county, but and the legislative delegation and Alan Clemens, everybody's done a fantastic job. EDC, my hat is off to them, but we need to continue that push. It's really all about bringing jobs in and improving the quality of life for our citizens, and that'll be my focus. I had an opportunity as a young man to work for Governor Campbell as a young lawyer, fresh out of law school, and I've always been interested ever since that in economic development. He, of course, was a politician who emphasized economic development, and so that'll be a focus if I'm elected councilman.
One of the big challenges facing Horry County right now is developing the infrastructure to keep up with all of the growth. Your part of the county is certainly no stranger to a lot of growth. A lot of talk about the Southern Evacuation Lifeline, getting I-73 here. As far as infrastructure is concerned, what are your priorities and what do you want to see happen, particularly for your district?
I think for our district in particular, I think a Southern Evacuation Lifeline is a priority. It certainly will cost money, and we'll have to be prudent in how we fund that, as we will have to be prudent with all the other financial decisions that council is called upon to make. But I think that's a priority. I think it'll bring economic development to the south end. I think it will spur growth west of the river, and I think it's critical for the residents of the district.
How about I-73? And obviously there's not a lot from the county level that can be done, but is this something that needs to continue to be championed by the county to impress upon people at the state level and federal level to
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. You know, it's one of the things that concerns me, Tim, quite frankly, is we have to build these roads. We have to have infrastructure. You and I were speaking before we went on the air about 501. 501 is a mess for everyone, because I don't live in Carolina Forest as you do, but I live on the south end. But I use 501 to get to my office, to the Conway Courthouse. I use 501. It affects the lives of everyone who lives in the county. So we have to focus on these needs. I-73 is not necessarily a county issue, but we need, as a delegation, to be in the face, so to speak, of everyone who is in a decision-making role in getting that done, and to advocate for the county and for our region, and to help get that road developed, and again, prudently, but it needs to be done. It needs to be done. And a lot of this, whether we're talking about I-73 or whether we're talking about economic development, a lot of this is just selling these ideas, you know, knocking on CEO doors and making them aware that, hey, this needs to be a priority, and the Horry County is here and ready to do business.
You mentioned economic development earlier, talking about the gun,
Yes.
the gun manufacturers coming to the western part of the county. What do you see for the southern part of the county? Obviously, tourism's going to be here, and it's going to continue to be here as long as we have beaches, and I don't see those going anywhere anytime soon.
Yep.
What do we do about other industry, or is it really necessary to lure industry to your district and just kind of leave it with tourism?
Well, I think it's great for the county to be diversified economically. yeah, I grew up in Conway, and the traditional wisdom has always been that kids grow up here, they go to school, and the best and the brightest kids are leaving the area, and not that there's anything wrong with staying, but if you don't have a family connection to a business, it's the general approach that most people is to leave and go other places. I think if we have more jobs, more diversity, manufacturing, not everybody can be involved in tourism. Not everybody, and the unfortunate reality is in tourism, a lot of the jobs are service-oriented, and the jobs don't pay quite as well as you find in other sectors. And so I would love to see us have more diversity. I mean, we will always have the beaches, we'll always have tourism, but we really need to push for economic diversity. We need manufacturing. We need more manufacturing jobs in this county. We need to work hard to try to bring those, because other exposure in the economy, other areas that we can develop will give us economic diversity, and I think will help insulate us from cyclical impacts. And tourism can be impacted by hurricanes, and so it's not wise in most areas of life to have all your eggs in one basket. So I think we need to work hard to diversify our economy and open up opportunities for people, not just in tourism, but in manufacturing, science and technology, other areas, research and development, aerospace. I think we've got a great opportunity in the airport, in the facility there, and we need to push that hard. And that's not necessarily in District 5, but certainly, I live in District 5, I commute to Myrtle Beach. I mean, economic development in that region of the county is good for people in District 5.
You also mentioned this earlier about the council that we have right now. They seem to work together pretty good as a whole. Yes, they disagree sometimes, but they manage to approach things as a whole.
Yes.
How do you see yourself fitting in? Are you going to work with them, work against them, voice your own opinion, or how's it going to work?
I see myself fitting in. Tim, well, if I'm elected, we'll see how that goes. But no, I'm very impressed with, and I've complimented the chairman more than once on the job that he's done bringing the council together. Yes, they have disagreements. Of course, they have disagreements, but it's more a question of how does the council work through those discussions. Having again been a long-time resident, yeah, I've seen councils that didn't work nearly as well as this council, and it's good that the council is working together to find solutions to the problems and challenges that we face, and I'll continue to work with that. I'm a practicing lawyer. I think as a lawyer, there are no lawyers on the council. I think I bring a perspective to the council that will be helpful. One of the first areas of interest that piqued my attention recently is the areas that were really under discussion, a lot of discussion recently with the council in past months have been helicopters, the transaction with WestJet, efforts to bring air service to Myrtle Beach International Airport, and just the circumstances related to the airport generally have been issues that the council has dealt with. In my practice as a lawyer, I represent various aviation entities, so I've had a fair amount of aviation experience, and so I thought that perspective would be helpful for the council, and so I think it will.
Well, let's talk about something else the council's dealing with right now, and those are beach tents. And your district falls right along the beaches.
Yes.
What do you think about beach tents?
I'm a big fan of beach tents. I understand the arguments on both sides of the issue. Personally, I tend to think, my general disposition is that we're all better off with less regulations and less red tape, and businesses and individuals do better as a general rule with more freedom and less regulation. But where there is a compelling public safety interest, and I think that case is being argued, I think there are times when the government does have to regulate. I think the beach tent situation, from my perspective, it has appeared to me to be manageable without regulation, but I understand the argument that there's a public safety issue at work.
Real quickly?
Yes.
I don't live in your district, but if I did, why should I vote for you?
Well, I'm a lifelong resident of the county. I was born in Conway, and I spent some time, as we were discussing, in Washington and D.C., and I've had experience outside the state, and I think there are things that I bring to the equation as somebody who has that perspective. I've lived elsewhere. I mean, I know we have a great quality of life here in Horry County. There are areas we need to work on. Economic development, job opportunities for our young people, job opportunities for everybody. You hear about the recession easing, but I think there are a lot of people in Horry County and in District 5 who don't feel that yet. And we need to work hard to bring that economic opportunity to our citizens. And I'll work extremely hard to do that. And I think that's the main reason that I would encourage people to support me. And I think I bring the experience and the background to the election that will assist me in serving on County Council.
All right. Reese Boyd, candidate for District 5, Horry County Council. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. A lot of people are putting their hat in the ring to run for Horry County Council. One of them is Johnny Vaught. He joins us now. You're running for District 8, and that's the seat that is held right now by Carl Schwarzkopf.
That's correct.
Who was on this show and said he's not going to run again.
That's true. That's true. Carl's a great friend of mine. I taught with Carl at Georgetown Tech for probably 15 years, so I've known him for a lot of years.
Carl's a great guy, and you can't have a short conversation with Carl.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you can't get very many words in edgewise with him either, for sure.
Mr. Vaught, tell us a little bit about who you are and why you're running for the seat.
Okay, I'm a local. I was born and raised here and lived here other than my Navy time and my time in Columbia. I worked in Columbia after I went to school there and got my engineering degree. I worked there at Square D, and then I worked at Midlands Technical College for 5 years, and moved back here in '83, back home, and started my career at Georgetown Tech as Department Head of Electronics Engineering, and continued that for another 26, 27 years, and I retired 2 years ago this May, and that's what I did.
Why run for District 8? Why you all of a sudden want to throw a politician into the resume?
I have been questioned extensively about that. Are you crazy or what? You know, I understand. But we had an issue in my neighborhood last year about establishing a tax district, a special tax district in Quail Creek. And my neighbors and I got together and defeated it so that we did not have an extra tax imposed on us. And after that, and we defeated it very soundly, they all got together and decided, you need to be on that council. So here I am.
All right. Well, District 8 serves a lot of Conway, particularly the areas around CCU, around where our station is here, in right across from CCU. It's it's a big district with a diverse district, a lot of different types of people in there. What do you plan to do things much differently than Mr. Schwarzkopf did? He was one of the more laid-back council members until he was serious about an issue. Or do you want to? What's your approach?
I intend to get very up close and personal with the people. One of my primary issues with that tax district thing was that it was taking away people's rights and responsibilities to be good neighbors. And I think to be good neighbors, you have to learn to work together. You don't need to think of government or the police or something like that as being the people who you turn your problems over to. You need to talk with your neighbors about problems and so forth. And to me, that's a microcosm of the way the county government should run.
Some of the issues facing Horry County government, well, one right now, we're talking about beach tent bans. And to look at something like that, while you don't have beach in your district, but that would be something you'd be asked to vote on. And I think it speaks to where you stand on different things. What do you think about beach tents?
My next door neighbor has really called me to task for that because I am at this point, and I haven't done due diligence on this because I'm obviously not on the council, but from what I've seen attending council meetings and listening to the public service employees coming in and talking to public safety people coming in and talking to us about the lack of access for emergency issues, the fact that it limits people's views of the beach. I've seen pictures that are just pretty bad as far as being able to enjoy the beach is concerned. And so I'm really, from a standpoint of the public safety issue and so forth, I'm really in favor of the ban. But I'm also in favor of people having their rights. So, you know, it's a sticky issue because somewhere there has to be a compromise between people's rights and safety and public safety. And so without doing more due diligence on that issue and finding out, I'd like to get down there actually during the summer and walk the beaches and see just how bad the issue is and so forth, because pictures don't always tell you everything. And I'd like to see all of that before, luckily enough, I don't have to take a vote on it right now, but I'd like to have more information before I can make my decision, you know?
Well, you will have a say on infrastructure if you're elected, and of course Highway 501 runs right through the heart of your district,
it does.
As does parts of Socastee are in District 8.
544.
Talking 544,
Sure.
Even parts of the Southern Evacuation Lifeline
Sure.
could come up that way.
Sure, absolutely.
What should the priorities be as far as infrastructure roads go?
You know, always we have been behind the 8 ball, or behind the curve or whatever, in planning in Horry County. I think that we have, Carolina Forest is a perfect example of putting in thousands and thousands of homes without having the infrastructure in place first. I think you need to look ahead at where the developments are going to come, at what the real needs are going to be, and make your priority decisions based on that. You can't always be reacting to situations. You need to be proactive to them. And I think, you know, it's the nature of a bureaucracy, to react, but we need to be more proactive with those things.
A lot of those roads require state money.
Sure.
I-73, of course, requires state, local, federal,
Right.
any money it can get from anywhere.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
But for the things that do require county money, talking about county roads, talking about maybe regulations on developers to put sidewalks in communities,
Sure.
things like that, where do you stand from what the county could do? What is the county doing something it shouldn't be doing right now? What should it be doing?
I don't think so. I think the county is focusing on specific issues, like putting a traffic circle in on Singleton Ridge Road. I know with where your studio is here, you probably travel towards the hospital and back and forth on Singleton Ridge Road, and there's an intersection in there that's terrible. People are trying to get into Tech and out of Tech. People are trying to cut through by the medical plaza there, and there's just a weird intersection there, and we're talking about doing a traffic circle or a light or something like that. And that's the kind of issue that we need to really look at and plan and try to figure out what is really the best thing to do there. And we have multiple issues like that around the county, and that's where we need to look at.
Well, and you brought that up, the influx of people into Carolina Forest. Obviously, talking about the traffic on Singleton Ridge Road, that's affected by the kids at CCU.
Sure.
That school just seems to be hitting a growth spurt and
Absolutely.
showing no signs of slowing right now.
As is Tech.
As is Georgetown Technical College. So what do you do to prepare for that growth outside of traffic circles? Because it's going to need more than just that.
Sure, exactly. I think that Singleton Ridge Road, due to the fact that the hospital is there, should have been 4-laned a long time ago, with turn lanes and so forth, to make the traffic flow through there, because I've seen ambulances backed up trying to get in and just couldn't get in just because they came in around lunchtime or around class change time, that kind of thing. That road should have been 4-lane a long time ago as a priority, because it was obvious that we were going to get growth there.
As you said, you've attended a few Horry County Council meetings, and council seems to work pretty cohesively. I mean, there at times they don't
Sure.
agree and they work that out. What will you bring to council? Will you be somebody who helps build coalitions, or will you be somebody who fights against the majority at times if you see it's right? How do you plan? How do you think you'll fit in that group?
Right, I understand. And I have not missed a county council meeting or committee meeting since the middle of January, when I first decided I was going to run, because I believe that if you're going to take that office, you don't wait until you take the office before you learn how to deal with things and learn how the procedures work and how things go. And also looking at the individual personalities and that kind of thing, because that's very important. To get to your question, Horry County is kind of different from a lot of counties that I've seen. I lived in Richland County for a long time. I've been part of other counties and all. Horry County has such a diverse population and such a diverse set of issues. Each district has a totally different set of issues. Think about the Ainer district. Think about the Loris district. They don't have any beaches. They don't have any kind of problems with tourists and so forth. So you have to build coalitions, and you have to talk to people and get them to work together with you to solve county-wide issues, and realize that this may not affect my district, but affects the county. And I'm elected to really serve the county after my district. But you have to build those coalitions, and it's it's got to be a bear to do that. And I watch the councilmen struggle with that because they have such different issues. And you end up sort of, I think in some cases, making trade-offs and saying, okay, if you'll help me with this issue in my district, I'll help you with your issue and yours and so forth. And I think that's a necessity. Right. But we still have to address the common issues, the county issues. And a lot of that is our traffic flows, because flow of traffic coming through Conway and 501 obviously affects Aner, and 9 affects Loris. So all of these things have effects beyond where our districts are. And so we have to look at those and find those common things, and the whole council work on those things.
Last question for you. I don't live in your district, but if I did live in your district, why should I vote for you?
Because I'm going to bring a fresh perspective to the council, because I'm going to be prepared, and because I'm going to get out and listen to you. I'm going to have a website set up that people can communicate with me and ask me questions and tell me what problems are. But I also want people to come to me with not just problems, but solutions. To come and say, we have a problem with so-and-so, and I think we could solve it this way if we did thus and so. Can we do thus and so? That, to me, is the way that I have to be a councilman, to be proactive when I know there's a problem and reactive when people come to me.
Johnny Vaught, candidate for Horry County Council, District 8. Thanks for being with me this morning.
Great. Thank you, Tim.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Carolina This Week. We're going to talk about Carolina Forest for a few minutes, and the head of the Carolina Forest Civic Association, Bo Ives, is with us to talk about a great event that happens a couple times a year in Carolina Forest.
That's right. Twice a year we do a great cleanup of the Carolina Forest area, both Carolina Forest Boulevard, River Oaks Drive, and a section of International Drive.
As everybody knows, Carolina Forest is probably one of the fastest growing neighborhoods or subdivision, not subdivisions, but one of the fastest growing areas of the country, let alone South Carolina.
It certainly is.
You get a lot of trash.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. And we notice that as soon as we clean it up, it actually helps to keep the trash down for a period. So the more attention we can give to it, the less trash there is to pick up later.
Now, this only happens over a 3-hour span, 3 hours on a Saturday morning, but you tend to get a lot done.
We do. We get at least 80 volunteers. We have Horry County Schools gives us school buses so we can transport people to individual pickup sites, and that's how we can do it in a short amount of time. Enough volunteers spread out over enough area, and we can really pick it up.
So not just Carolina Forest Boulevard in that area, but you stretch around River Oaks
and International Drive, so we've finished the J there, if you will.
And a lot of great organizations come out to help with this.
That's
the
right.
Carolina Forest Rotary Club.
That's right. And the Lions Club. And we also have the veterinary hospital in Carolina Forest also has adopted a section. And so we get those organizations are helping us. Again, the schools, WPDE is a sponsor.
That's right.
Grand Strand Provisions Boar's Head, we have hot dogs for everyone at the end of the cleanup.
And here's a look at it right now. I just want to say you all provide vests for people and
Yes.
the bags. And
pickup sticks.
Pickup sticks, so you
Especially
don't have
for
to
those
get your
of us
hand.
a little older and don't want to bend over.
Well, and you don't always know what you're touching when it's trash there on the
That's
ground.
right,
Yeah, yeah. 9 o'clock Saturday morning, what should people do?
Just show up at the Recreation Center, let us know what area you'd like to pick up. We'll put you on a bus and take you to the area where you'd like to pick up, and we'd hope to see everyone come out.
Here's a graphic with that information. The Great Carolina Forest Spring 2014 Roadside Litter Cleanup. That's a long name.
Yes.
Saturday, March 29th. I'm going to check with Ed Piotrowski, and hopefully we can clear up some good weather
Please
for
do.
you. 9 a.m. until noon. Once again, that's at the Carolina Forest Recreation Center. That's on Carolina Forest Boulevard, right by the new library. If you're familiar with the Palmetto Adventureland, right in that area.
We'll be picking up that playground as well.
And I saw the kids. Bring the kids out. You'll give them under 14. They can go clean
They
up
can go to the
play
playground
areas.
or to the ball fields next to Ocean Bay Elementary.
I think I know what TJ and Aaron might be doing next Saturday. Thanks for being with us,
Thank
Bo.
you.
All right, stay with us. We'll be right back. That's going to do it for Carolina This Week this Sunday morning. We'll see you back here next week. Have a great week.